Yes, friends, in this video, we will discuss about the pivot table with a report filter and pivot table with another functionality with using of pivot table. Pivot table have a lots of functionality with using of filter, with using of subtotal, difference between the pivot table and subtotal. We will discuss in this video. So now we have to convert this video and about a particular pivot table and using the pivot table, we will share our data. Now you can see here, this is our you can see my data, and this is my data. Then go for the data tab, then go for the insert pivot table and okay, right. Now we want to use the on the basis of the month. On the basis of the month, we will sales before tax, sales tax, sales plus tax. This is sales before tax, sales tax, and sales plus tax. This is the value feed item charts, and this is the sum of this value. If it is sum of this value, then we have to put out the sum of the value. Now we want to change the value item filters. This is called as a report filter. If I am using a report filter, if I am using a report filter, on the report filter basis, we have to check the particular value on the basis of report filter. Now, how to check the report filter on the basis of this one, and how to check the particular value, right? In this video, wait just a minute. Yes. In this video, we will discuss the particular report filter value. We have to do the product code and the product code and the report filter. Now you can see here the product code. On the basis of the product code, we have to find out the particular value. This is 3, this is 4, this is 5 value. This is called as a report filter. So now how the all the report filter value is. We want to use the all the value. So if it will really convert to the all the value on the basis of report filter basis. Now we want to use this option command on the basis of option. Yes, in the previous session we will discuss the all this option command. Now here is a show report filter page. We have a filter from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 6. All are the filtering value. Now we will use the show option, show report filter page. And okay, now you can see here 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 4, 0, 5, 0, 6. All the filtering of the page is individually convert. So we have to not convert the individual pivot table and pivot table on the basis. We have to not convert it to the simple value. If I'm putting here product code, otherwise as if it is a sales number, for example, if I'm putting the sales number here, for example, sales number here, the sales number, this is a the very long data. So it will be converted to the whole the data into the Excel sheet. So it is a very simplify for us. If this option is not available, for example, if this option is not available, so we have to very complicated with because we can create a different Excel file. We can create different Excel file, different create a pivot table, and when we create the pivot table, we want to create this functionality. So this functionality is very useful functionality. When we create a filter, all the individual worksheet Excel file is created. So make sure that this is a individual file is created from your side. Okay. Now if you want to create sales number, month, total value, this is all the value is created. If this is a refresh data, this is value is refreshed. Now we will want to add the insert slicer value. If I am adding the month, for example, otherwise as invoice number, product code. For example, I will add the product code here. You can filtering this value. One type of filtering this value. Now you have to add not a filter value. For example, we want to add we want to go for the options command. On the basis of option command, we have to do the particular insert slicer value. In this slicer, we want to create a month. So month is created, and if you want to click on this month, we can click the double month also, we can click the triple month also. 1 2 3, this is 3 month also, this is 2 month also. So make sure that all the value when we are filtered, this is called as a slicer value. In the slicer value, we have to put out the different slicer menu also. On the basis of slicer, we have to color combination of the pivot table also. March, April, May, June, this is all are the value. On the basis of this value, we have to find out the particular value. So now the color combination is here. In the slicer, there are lots of menu available from the slicer setting also. This is month one, ascending to descending, and show the item table here. If the delete the data, so show the custom listing. This is all other option. We will create it month one. Display the header. If the display header name is, for example, aging, right? Then okay, then you can see here aging name is here. Now you have to clear idea about this one. Why we create the slicer menu, why we create this option. On the click on this option, we have to name is slicer settings. Height, width, you can see it here, height and width, and for number of column, if I'm putting the number of column is 2 3 4, whatever the value. Now this is a sufficient, otherwise else we want to putting the 2, that is a okay for it. We want to put other menu, because we have a lots of menu. At that time we have to create this 1 2 3 column height and width, because at that time there are no space particularly go for the long way. And if you want to use the height, then you can see here height, when we small height, then all the data in a one page. So this one is coming from height, width, columns, height, width, this is all are the value. Here is the changing of this value, so make sure that is a changing of the value, then at that point it will be changed the value. Now slicer settings value, if I am putting the slicer setting value, if it is descending order to ascending order, now you can see this is a descending to ascending order. This is called December to January value. Here is a ascending to descending. At that time this is ascending to descending value, so we have to clear this value, ascending value to the descending value, on the basis of this one. So make sure that you have to put out this value when you are put out the January, February, March, April, May, June. At that time you have to ascending to descending particular value. On the basis of this one, we have to clearly idea about this value. So you have to, if it is alignment, here is a alignment. Alignment is a view grids. For example, this is a grid option, right? If you want to not a grid, then view grid option. If you want to snap grids, you can, if it is no grids option, selection pen, this is our selection pen. If a selection is visible, if selection is not visible, here is a visible value, here it's a not visible value. So you can see here, this is a visible value, this is a not visible value. So you can put out the both the value, visible value as well as not visible value. So you can do this value on the basis of this one. So now you can see here the basis of this value, you can particular on the basis of this one value, you have to put out the value, and doing from this one, we have to put this value on the particular manner. So this is a, now you have to clear the slicer values. On the basis of slicer values, we want to do this value. If you want to do this value, then you can easily filtering from this value. So when we filtering from this menu, so we can use the slicer menu, pivot table also. When we create a clear filtering, at that time filtering is clear. So this is value is the extractive value. You can use this month value also. On the basis of unit price, you can create the unit price also. If I am putting a unit price here, then go for the data table, then sorry, in the option command, then using from the slicer menu, insert the slicer connectivity, that is a unit code, unit price. If it is unit price, then you can see here the unit price also. If I am using the product code, not unit price, if I am using the product code, for example Product code is not available in the pivot table, but on the basis of product code, we have to find out the value. So now we have to find out the value. Now you can see here the find out the value on the basis of product code. So make sure that this product code is very useful from your side whenever you are doing from this value. And so make sure that you have to put out this value on the basis of particular value, and the value basis you have to find out the particular value. So in the pivot table, two functionalities are clear. First is a slicer and the second is a particularly filter value on the report filter. So you have to clear idea about the report filter man. Okay friends, now we will discuss about the particular value. On the basis of particular value, we want to do this value. Now this menu is now clear. This is the pivot table connection. Here is a many pivot table, but pivot table connection we will discuss in the next session, otherwise as next command. So we have to clear idea about the pivot table connection between the two pivot table. This is called as pivot table connection. Now go for the option command. In this option command, show value, fill item sets, this is all values, and now it is a clear design tab. We will also clear the design tab also. We will create a refresh value, format number, copy this value, fill value item set, pivot table option. This is all are the options. So make sure that you have to now clear idea about the pivot table, and all the functionality I think so cover which one functionality in the pivot table. I will cover all the functionality on the basis of big data. Using of big data, I will cover this value. Now go for the subtotal. First we will go for the data part, then difference between the pivot table and subtotal. First, pivot table and subtotal, there is a very different functionality. How? First, subtotal is not work with a table. So now you can see here is a data in a particular table manner. Then you can see subtotal option is disabled. So make sure that subtotal option is not available from your side. So subtotal option, this is a particular option which want to use in the particular value. So subtotal option is basically used for the one type of analysis, same as it is the analysis. You can see say that the same analysis it will be the pivot table. But yes, first difference subtotal and pivot table is subtotal not function work with the table. So now your data is in table, then subtotal is not working. Second, if any upgradation, we cannot using refresh command in the subtotal. If any adding, because table is not converted, so but obviously we cannot convert the update and deletion of any menu, so it will be not converted, so it will be error. Third, subtotal, all the data is not in a sorting order. If the data is a sorting order, then subtotal is working. If the data is not in a sorting order, then subtotal is not working. So make sure that all the data is in subtotal is in a sorting order. So if the data is sort order, then subtotal is working. If the data is not sorting order, subtotal is not working. So make sure that all the data, if you have, this is working with the subtotal. It's a very data is in sorting order. If it is a not in a sorting order, then your data is in not in a particular find out. So make sure that all the data, if it is find out with the subtotal, it's a data with the subtotal, all the data is converted to the particular man. So If the data is shorting first, then it will be converted. Here you can see January, February, March, April, May to December. Data is shorting order. You can see here January, February, March, April, May, June. Data is in shorting order. Now the subtotal is working. But yes, if first is January, second is February, third is again January, and that manner it will be not work. Yes, it will be work, but it cannot show the perfect result, right? So make sure that whenever you want to perfect result, at that time you have to use the pivot table. But yes, some sales department, some marketing department useful this functionality subtotal. I am not saying that the subtotal it's not using, but yes, whenever you are using with the shorting of the data, then it will be work perfectly. If it is not in a shorting of the data, it will be not work with a perfect manner. Now you have to clear idea about the subtotal. Now what can we do? First, all the data is in table, so subtotal is not working. So first we'll go for the design tab and convert to the range. If it is convert to the range, then now this data is convert to the subtotal. Now this data is convert to the subtotal. You can see here subtotal option is enabled, right? Subtotal option is now available. So you can use this subtotal option, right friends? Now you can see here data subtotal. If I am using from the month, sales before tax, sales plus tax, and okay. So you can see here sales before tax, sales plus tax here. Then we will click on OK button. It will be converted into the subtotal. How we can find out it will be converted? And the last disadvantage, I forgot to say the last disadvantage. It will be convert the subtotal in the same file. You can see our data file is changed. It will be converted into 1, 2, 3. Our data file is changed. First is our data file. This is our data file. Second is our also our data type, and third is our also data file. So all the data file, our data file is changed. So make sure that when you are converted into the subtotal, at that time copy the data and go for the blank sheet and paste the data, because it will be change our original data. So we have not idea what is our original data, how we will find out our original data. At that time it create an error. So make sure that all the data in we will convert into the subtotal is in perfect manner. When we go for the data tab, in the data tab, if we will convert to the subtotal, at that time on the month basis, we will basis of the month we will convert it to the sales before tax, sales plus tax, and okay. Now it will be converted. January data, February data, this is second number of data is a January of the data, January, February, March of the data. Third number of data after the completion of this data, January data is coming. Then after the this is 1, 2 and a different analyze file. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. This is different analyze. When we plus on this side, this is a grand total file. This is called as a only for work with the file January, February, March. This is a when we show the March data, we will click on this so we can show the March data. If we will on a click on the particular manner, for example, if I'm doing this one, so we have to clear the this one data. So now subtotal option is clear from that. If you clear the from the third number of data, that is a after the data it will be total calculation. So make sure that all the calculation, all the working file, it's work from your side. Okay friends, now subtotal is clear, right? Then what is the difference, main difference between pivot table and subtotal? That is a sorting. Yes. If I am spacing control Z, here we will put out the control Z. For example, if I'm putting the control Z option. right? This is called the Control Z option. Now, if I am using the Control Z at that time, we want to change the data also, right? First, we want to show then what is the disadvantage. First, subtotal is not using with the table and subtotal not working together. Table or subtotal both are not working together. So at that time it will create an error. What is the second disadvantage? Sorting order compulsory, must be. If the data is in not sorting order, then you can show it. Then what is your result? Go for the subtotal month, sales before tax, sales tax and sales plus tax. Now you can show here. This is a basic difference: January, February, January and again February. So make sure that subtotal option is always in a particular table sorted order. Sorting order, it's a must be when we are using the subtotal. Now, if I'm changing any place, changing is not possible in the subtotal. Changing is not possible in the subtotal. So refresh menu, it's not working. Refresh menu is not working. Right. Refresh menu is not working. Subtotal and table working not together. Sorting order, must we do the sorting order? Changing is not possible in the subtotal. Changing is not possible in the subtotal. So now you have to clear idea about the subtotal also. Yes, in a many situation it's used, but subtotal is used only for 10%. 20% 90% situation it will be used for pivot table, because when we are short, for example, our data is not sorting. For example, our data is not sorted. For example, here we want to put the data. Copy the data. At that time, if our data is January, then again February, we can write down here 25. Yes. Refresh not work in subtotal. Now our data, you can show it January, February, and again January. Now I am doing with the pivot table. Month, sales before tax, sales tax, sales plus tax. Now you can see here January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, the data. So no 2 times January, no 2 times February, no 2 times March value. So make sure that all the value with using of this one value. So this is a perfect value when we are using this value. This is January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. So at that time, pivot table is automatically sorting your data. So in this pivot table, the data is not January, February, and again January. In the subtotal, you can see here January, February, and again January data. So it is a wrong data. So this is not called a summarize of data. This is called as a simple your data. You cannot put any calculation on this data. So now you have to clear idea about this one. For difference between the subtotal and the pivot table, in which situation we will use when we are using in sales of data, the data is not changeable, we cannot using refresh value, and all the data is in sorting order. In this manner we will use the definitely subtotal. But when the data is in not sorting order, if any updation, any deletion, any addition is available, at that time you can use the subtotal. Otherwise, since in the subtotal we have to use the refresh command, but we have create the second time of subtotal, right? In the same situations, yes, some places subtotal is very useful. Whenever we can change the data on the summarize of data on particular this level, particular January, after the January total is available, after the February, then layout option is a good. You can use, if you can view from the layout wise, then this is a perfect option. You can do this perfect option. But when you have a using from the particular data, if in future is addition, updation, deletion, all these values coming, at that time this is not perfect layout. So whatever your data, this is on the base of data, you have to take the decision. You can use the subtotal, otherwise you can use the pivot table. Both the option, it's similar, but some situation subtotal is not working, so it will create an error. So if any situation when we use the subtotal, then you can use the subtotal. If you are using from layout wise, this is a best layout. After the January total is here. If you want to only for total, then you can use the only for total. If you use the only for grand total, it will be display the grand total. Then layout wise, this is perfect. But the if the data is a mismatched data, at that time you cannot use this functionality. So make sure that which one functionality is using from your side. This is the best functionality for your side, because which one Excel is basically what we know the Excel, but which situation, which function, and which functionality is used, if you don't know about this one, so you have not using of Excel. So more and more practice, you have to clear idea about this one. Why in this situation we will use the which functionality, and on promptly in your mind which function is using in this scenario. So it is a look. It is not a compulsory. If we can do only for VLOOKUP, we can do only for pivot table, we can do only for sum if else. You can do any function, but result is come. That is the main motto of Excel. Yes, in some places, some person result will be yes, in the pivot table. You can see here, pivot table result is always also coming from the sum if S also, right? You want to give the criteria and you want to do this the criteria, but make sure that which functionality is used in which places. This is more useful from your side. So for example, if I'm doing the pivot table sum if S also, then I can do it sum if S also here. For example, I am doing from the sum if S. Sum if S. In the previous session, we also do this. Sum if S, then go for the data table, and the data table first is the sum range. If I am putting the sales before tax, this is a sales before tax. Then second is a criteria range 1. Here is a criteria range 1. Month is our criteria range 1. And second is a criteria 1. If I am putting here the January, then you can see that value is a January is 52111. J32, it's a 5212222. It's a sales tax, and I will to put out the value. This is a sales plus tax. For example, we will go for the data tab. In the data tab, formula tabs, we have to find out the evaluate the formula. K3 value is what? January, right? January value, and January value from the sales plus tax. 5211, 521112, and this one value is 51847. That is a very small difference, I think so. January value, for example, if I am putting this value is 5211.22, 5211.22. But I think so in this scenario, we will not use this pivot table. We will use the different data. So if the result is wrong, for example, we will create the second pivot table. So result is perfectly, because at that moment we will change the data is January, February, and then January. So we will change the data at that time. So it will be change the data. For example, it's a 5211.22. Now you have to clear idea. Okay, friends, in the next video, we will go for the pivot chart. When we go for the pivot chart, at first, we will discuss for the color bar, data bar, icon set. Then we will go for the pivot chart. Thank you, friends.